Hi, Lola.
Yes.
Hi, it's Jeanne Bogino. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Great. So I really appreciate your consenting to speak with me, and I'm excited to be talking to you. I gather you're a second-generation musician?
Yes, that's correct.
Now, you started out playing with your dad in your father's band, right?
No. He was a Marine, and he had his own bands, and there was always instruments around the house, so I was 2 or 3 years old. I would pick up some instruments and started playing, and just didn't think nothing of it until I got older and got into elementary school and started entering some of the music classes, and they saw that I could play these instruments, and it was like, there's something there, and then it went from there.
So it was just being around the music. You just sort of came into it very naturally then.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, how did your family feel about you as a musician? I mean, were they like supportive of that?
They supported anything that I did. It was more of my mom, as my father was always working, always out of town. If he wasn't doing his music, he was stationed somewhere, and he's just always working. But they were always very supportive. I mean, it wasn't like I was dreaming to be a star or whatever. It was nothing like that. It was just the fact that I loved my music. I loved studying it, and there was a lot of other things that I liked too. I loved my sports. So no matter what it was that I was interested in, they just supported everything. Once I got into elementary school and started getting in music classes, I needed to go further. I needed to know how to read the music, and I had great teachers early on that was like, yeah, you need to really get into this. And so, then I got into junior high school, and I met one of my favorite teachers, Mr. Langen. Mm-hmm. He was so awesome, and I started out in junior high school on trumpet, but that wasn't enough for me. I went from trumpet to trombone to euphonium to whatever instrument that it was that I wanted to play. He was like really supportive. He was like, yeah, go for it. And I studied it. And then the high school director used to come to our junior high school, and then I was so in love with him. I wanted to be a music conductor.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I studied doing that in junior high school as well. So by the time I got to the high school, then I became drum major and really got into conducting and reading all the scores and learning all the instruments. It wasn't enough for me to read a score and talk to a clarinetist. I needed to learn that instrument to talk to a clarinetist more. It was just my brain. I just wanted to know more about that instrument so I can explain myself more.
Have you ever done anything else, or have you always been a musician?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I used to work at a chemical plant. I was a mechanic for years. I mean,
really?
A lot of things I wanted to do. Yeah.
Do you have a day job now, or are you primarily a musician?
Yeah, musician.
Oh, wow. And so many people never get to that stage. So
it's tough, but I'm making it work, and I have a great support system, so it helps.
And now, do you have children?
I have 2 kids that I help raise. I used to bring them on the road with me all the time.
What's that like to have kids and tour on the road?
It was fabulous. I mean, I would make it like a road trip, So I played keyboards for Johnny Taylor and a few other artists, and but they would be on the bus or fly in or whatever, and I would just pack up the car, or truck, and we'd make it a road trip. It was fun. They loved it.
Sounds fun. But how old were the kids when you were doing that? Like, it's from what age to what age?
Probably from like 5 to 10, something like that.
You perform in Paris. That must be amazing.
Oh yeah, I at one point I was going over there so much I actually considered moving there. But I didn't want. I mean, I thought about it at one point, but then it was like I love going over there so much. So me just staying there kind of would. I probably would get bored with it.
But wow, what a place!
It's awesome,
amazing.
Especially if you're an entertainer.
I bet.
Yes. Oh yeah, it's cool.
Is the European audience different than the American audience?
Yes, in a way. It's just that, the Europeans, they love blues music, so they don't, like when I went over there, when I first went over there, even the regular TV stations are like a year or 2 behind. So what they see as far as blues music is what they read about and what they hear about, what they see on TV. So they don't really have the actual blues artists there. So they're like kind of mimicking blues artists, the musicians and singers there. And so then when you get an actual blues singer and artist there, they just kind of freak out. They just, it's like they read about it, they heard about it, but they never saw it before. So that way is kind of different. But, the American audience, they really do appreciate music too. It's just that we know it here in America. We've seen it, we know it, but they have never seen it until somebody goes over there and then they see it.
And then it blows their mind, I bet.
Right.
So I wanted to ask you about your instrument. Now, these days you play keyboards primarily, right? Or do you still play a bunch of different things?
I do. I mean, my main instrument on stage is vocals and keyboards, but every once in a while, like I host a Monday night jam at Northside Tavern, and I give the drummer a break, and I get back there. Every once in a while, I'll bring out my trombone, and somebody might bring out a trumpet, and they're like, "Oh, you can't play it." And I'll pick it up and play it just for shock value. But vocals is my main instrument. Like, I don't even really consider myself a keyboard player. I just know how to play a bunch of fancy notes and some chords, and then I hang in there. But people call me a keyboard player, so I'm like, okay, I'm a keyboard player.
Did you study voice?
I did study voice, but at the time I wasn't trying to be a singer. I just studied the craft. I was in the choir, and I had to take a lot of theory, and so I studied it. So I didn't even realize I wanted to be a singer until I wasn't even in college. I was done with college before I realized I really wanted to be a serious singer.
Wow. And yet you have such an incredible voice.
I appreciate it.
Musicians always say, I don't like to have a label, but it's like, especially for my purposes, because I'm going to be talking about your music, I like to know how you like to be described.
Well, I'm signed to what's called a Southern Soul blues label.
Okay.
Southern Soul is pretty much black blues. It's more like a R&B blues type sound. But I call my sound, I call myself a soul singer. I'm just a soul singer.
You were actually named one of Atlanta's blues queens.
Oh yeah, that was cool. That was last year. Yeah, that was a great honor. I was blown away by that. Kind of feels like unreal because I shared with Francine Reed and Sandra Hall, and they're like Atlanta's greats here, and for me to share that with them is like, you got to be kidding me, because these women are they're just awesome, and it's like, are you sure you want to do this? But if you want to do it, okay, I'll take it.
So you're very modest because you're awesome too.
Well, I appreciate it, but these ladies are fabulous. They're my favorites, and we're all really good friends.
I'd like to talk about music from a woman's point of view.
Well, the thing that helped me a whole lot was the studying that I had in the past as far as musicianship. Mm-hmm. So when I was around, I mean, even to this day, I can be on a festival and I'm the only female there. Even when I was on the road all the time, I was the only female on the road. So all of that helped me to adapt to the way guys think. And you really have to think about what you say and do around male musicians, because that can make or break you. And I see a lot of females that, they're really good at their craft, but they're not as good as they think they are at their craft. And then they try to compete against the guys, and it's like, yeah, you don't need to compete. Just do your thing. Let them do their thing, and then we'll all get along. So I think the key for it all for me that helped me to this day get by was I learned how to deal with males. And how to act around them, and what to say and what not to say. I know it sounds sad and bad, but it is true. And especially me being a band leader, there's certain things that, let's say there was a male, he was a band leader. We had the same band, and he came into rehearsal and he said, that's not right. You need to play it like this. You need to play it like this. And the guys would think, yeah, okay, you're right. We need to play it like this. Now, me, female, I'm the band leader with the same band, and I come in and I say the exact same thing. Oh, man, she's just being a bee today. She's just a bee. You know what I mean? So I saw that, and I was like, I got to change how I do that, how I say it. So now what I do is I really don't talk a whole lot. You know, I just tell them, hey, just watch me, follow me, just trust me, it's going to work. You know, and there's just a different way that you have to carry yourself around male musicians. But if you don't learn that secret, then you're going to get shut down pretty quickly.
And it really, it really happens a lot. Another question I have is like, well, why aren't there more women like you?
The thing about it is a lot of females don't play an instrument. They don't know anything about music. So they're just out front singing.
Right.
The difference is I know a lot about music, and I'm a musician. So that's the difference.
And do you feel like the men respond better to that because you have the education and the knowledge?
Of course. Because if you got Bessie Smith up there, she doesn't know anything about music. All she knows is what somebody's telling her to sing.
Right.
She's never in control. The guys are always in control.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, it is.
And so if you have somebody who's actually schooled and educated and really knows their stuff.
Yeah. And a lot of times that intimidates guys, you know, so I have to watch when I display my knowledge, you know. There's a lot of times I'm around musicians and they're doing things and I'm like, ooh, yeah, nah. But I don't have to say anything. I learned that early on. I don't have to make anybody feel bad or display my knowledge of music. That's not what music is about. But to me, music is about making people feel good and about love and peace, and so that's what I want to display at all times.
Have you ever had any female musicians in your band?
Not in my personal band, I haven't.
Now, do you suppose, is it because you don't encounter very many?
Not that I don't encounter very many. I haven't encountered a female musician that's good enough to do what we do.
And that is what I'm trying to figure out. You know, there's lots of amazing female vocalists, of course.
Yeah.
But, you know, you find, you know, the great, you know, there's I can think of one great female bass player. You know, there's lots of them out there, but I'm really, that's sort of on this quest to figure out why. Is it because women are sort of, is it the expectation, or is there something in us, you know?
I don't know. I really don't know, but I know how much I studied but I know my mind and my head and I had some great teachers, you know, and I don't know why women are not out there and doing it. I really don't know.
I'm so glad I've gotten to meet you, and this has been great.
The pleasure is all mine.
I'll be in touch, and hopefully I'll see you in Atlanta.
Yes, ma'am. Good luck, too.
Hey, thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose.